So because these is on certain times when it comes to like the schedule, when it comes to One Piece being more unpredictable than ever, just because of what's going on in the world right now, to the point where Oda came out. Some of you may already know this, but Oda delivered a message saying, "Stay safe," and the pacing of the manga is going to be a little bit slow because of the pandemic. They are proceeding, but they're slower than usual. It's the same thing with the anime. Like things are in order to get things back on track. Hopefully by the end of May it will. But we'll have to see where it goes. But I can kind of appreciate the cliffhanger because had it ended with the reveal of Kaido's son's name, I think a lot of people would be more like impatient about waiting for the next chapter because it's obvious we're going to get a break next week. I think the next chapter's in 2 weeks. I could be mistaken, but yeah. So again, it's going to be a very rocky schedule going forward. That being said, there were a couple of things that stick out of this chapter. It's interesting in the previous chapter that I mentioned highlighted the Straw Hats that got the makeover, that got highlighted with the Kaido, the Beast Pirates gear that we saw, but there's some Straw Hats that didn't get shown, like Frankie didn't get shown, Jinbei didn't get shown, Robin didn't get shown, but in this chapter we got all the Straw Hats in the gear. So I thought that was kind of interesting because that switches things up of who may go up against the Tubby Robo, which I've been pushing for in the last chapter. Actually, I think it's kind of given. We're going to get a fight pretty soon. So start off with the cover page, and immediately this cover page is probably one of the most interesting cover stories we've gotten in a long time, especially before the Capone cover story. I am not being sarcastic about that. It's also one of the more controversial cover stories given what we saw. There's a couple of things that immediately stand out. One is the Tontara ship. Now, we see a ship with the Tontaras on it approaching a Tart ship from Whole Cake Island. The second thing that stands out to me is the location of where they're at. And the third is who's on that Tart ship, which has a lot of people talking, a lot of people triggered, which I'll get into. So, first off, the ship with the Tontaras. I don't know if Leo is on that ship. I was trying to look, see if he was there. He could be on the crow's nest. If you look closely, it could be also on the deck. We don't know. Because the last time we saw Leo, he was at the Reverie alongside Moncherie, and we know what happened. So Leo is part of the Grand Fleet, so he could show up on Wano. This could be a way for him to get there. And he has a lot of information of what went down at the Reverie, I'm sure. It's the same thing I've been pushing for Bonnie showing up because she's part of the Worst Generation. If she's going to show up alongside the Worst Generation against the battle with Kaido, now would be a good time to do it. Plus, she has info on what went down at the Reverie. Plus, on top of that, you have to remember she has a connection with Big Mom that could not be disputed. It's been debated for years, theorized for years, just because, number one, her ship is similar to that of Big Mom's. Number two is her eating habits are similar to Big Mom's. And number three, she has the lipstick. So that cannot be disputed. That has to be addressed at some point, and Big Mom is on Wano alongside the rest of the Big Mom pirates that got highlighted in this chapter. So I think Leo could be the same source of information that Bonnie could be if she shows up. So Leo could possibly show up, and there you go. The other thing that stands out in this cover story is the fact that we have on that ship what looks to be at this point Pound, and technically speaking, he's on his stomach, he's lying down, he's injured. But the last we saw, we thought he died. He got killed by Oven. And there's already a back and forth on social media. I saw on Twitter, and I agree with a lot of opinions. And I think you can have a kind of argument for any one of these opinions. But the main ones I saw are this: one, if that is it, the Pound, then that kind of undermines his character moment before he died. And number two, it downplays Oven and the Big Mom Pirates severely because that kind of makes it look like a joke, which I agree with. But on the flip side, there is a counter argument to that, and the fact that a lot of people are making this too, not just me. It's the fact that we did not see Pound get killed. We assumed it because we saw the blood. And the other thing that kind of sticks out is Sanji's reaction. Go back and watch the anime, especially the episode. If you look at Sanji's reaction before he speaks again, he kind of like disturbed a little bit. It's a fraction of a second, but just go back and watch it. So that kind of implies that Pound is kind of dead. But then again, we don't really know what happened. We don't know if somebody else showed up to save him at that point. or we don't know if he just got stabbed in the shoulder. We don't know if he got his head chopped off. That was the implication. And I'll point out that Pedro also died on Whole Cake Island, and we haven't seen him since. In fact, he has a grave on Wano, so he ain't coming back at this point. And the other thing to note is this is a cover story about Lola and Chiffon, and if Pound has any type of resolution with his daughters, now would be the time for it, because I mean, there's a reason why Oda decided to have him not killed, and this could be it. I mean, it is their cover story, so I thought that was interesting. And another thing that sticks out is the location of where they're at. Now, it's obviously not Whole Cake Island, because if you look at the island that's near them, it looks like it has huge vegetation. So it kind of reminds me of the place where Usopp is at. But I also remember that island was showcased very heavily back in the flashback, the Kazuki Oden flashback. So maybe that's the same island. But it does remind me of the place Usopp was definitely at during the time skip. That controversy aside, we get into Orochi getting a message from Kondoro, which is a problem because now he's going to be aware of the plan of the Straw Hats being in Onigashima. Interesting because he has to carry a pigeon or his bird that drops off the note, but you have like Kondoro with Momonosuke underground, and they're making their way, and they're meeting with Orochi, who hasn't met him yet. So point out there's a point where Momonosuke notices a knife or a blade while he's being dragged by Kondoro, and I don't know what that means, if in fact he knows the Straw Hats, the elites are there, or if he's thinking about something with that knife, but I don't know. Beast Pirate Fodder just drinking it up, unaware of what's about to go down. We get more insight as to what's going on with Onigashima. Again, from the Sunny, we have Frankie with the Kurosei through number 4. The Beetle motorcycle, which is pretty cool. You have Chopper with the tank again, the Brachio tank number 5. Chopper's in command. I think also Usopp, Nami, Carrot, which is also funny because Jinbei's like, oh, that's from Fishman Island. Yeah, but Frankie points out that, oh, there's been some upgrades, so I can't really see what happens with that. So there's a mention of Luffy going off on his own, and you have like Nami, Sanji, Chopper and Usopp freaking out because they know what's about to go down. He's definitely going to get spotted. They've been teasing that the entire chapter, so it's definitely going to happen, especially with what happened by the end. Zoro went off to try and make sure that doesn't happen, so they're freaking out because Zoro's going to get lost. So this is a way of separating some of the Straw Hats, which is kind of irritating, I know, because especially since the Straw Hats just got reunited. But given there's so much about to go down in Onigashima, I think it really calls for it, especially with what's about to go down with the pacing. So it can't be really helped. They're going to get together again anyway during the final fight. It's obvious. There was a gag about Sanji not being able to fit in the tank because it was fully occupied. By the way, Shinobu was in there, so why is she there? Also, there's an effort to highlight Carrot with the Straw Hats, so I don't know if that's foreshadowing Carrot also joining the Straw Hats by the end of this. She was also in the Beast Pirates gear, so I mean, make of that what you will. Sanji got left out. Now I don't know if he followed on top or if he got left behind, but we see Jinbei and Robin left behind. But the thing about it is, we have Frankie saying, "Oh, Robin, you can take a ride on the bicycle," but then Brooke, representing the anti-Frankie and Robin shippers, comes in and just puts a spoils to that and says, "No, I'll ride with you." Robin gets left in the door, so shout out to Brooke for that. Robin's response, by the way, I love her outfit. Like, yeah, Beast Pirates gear. But she says, like, I probably would have got some dust on me anyway. So, and Jinbei's like, oh, it's as lively as usual. But then she's like, but then Jinbei says something that's kind of suspect anyway. Those who take the situation lightly become crucial factors. So I don't know if that's foreshadowing something happened to that group. Again, I think Sanji may have gone with Nami and the rest, but if he didn't, that technically means the Monster Trio are kind of running solo right now, which may be a good thing because I kind of want Nami, Chopper, Usopp, and Brooke. Sanji are one of the Monster Trio are there. They kind of undermine that, and they don't get as much spotlight. So I hope that's the case. And it also, I mean, it's also foreshadowed it's going to be a fight because if you notice in the background, looking on at Jinbei and Robin, there's clearly somebody in the background eavesdropping, so I don't know who that is. It could be Kaido's son. It could be a member of the Beast Pirates. We don't know. Or I think it could also be one of the members of the Oniwa Banshu, which I said in the previous chapter. There is a highlight, there's an emphasis on Oda to highlight there's enough opponents for the Strats and the Alliance to go up against 1v1. So that'd be kind of cool. Speaking of which, we also go to the Beast Pirates with Kaido summoning the Toby Robo. Favorite part of the chapter for a number of reasons. One, we get introduced to the name of Kaido's son finally. And then we get the interactions between the Toby Robo, which is also a breath of fresh air. First off, you got Ulti's personality, like talking down to Kaido, but if you look at the first conversation she has, oh, she's like Kaido somewhere, but then she's like, oh, it was annoying, like talking down to Kaido in front of Kaido himself, which I agree with a lot of people's opinions. Like, I think Black Maria has the best design out of the Toby Robo, but I think Ulti's personality that has the best personality out of the bunch, because she does not care about talking shit to Kaido in front of his face. Like, it kind of reminds me of Berry Blue from Dragon Ball Super Broly. If you remember, she kind of like talked down on Frieza when she called out Frieza for being a shrimp, and that's his plan to like kind of make him taller again. That was his wish. And Berry Blue had no problem. Like, oh, he doesn't like being called a shrimp, so he wants to make himself taller. Anybody else who would have talked to Frieza like that probably been dead. But no, Frieza's like, oh, good guess. That was a good guess. He didn't kill her. So there's some level of respect. I think that's the same thing with Kaido, although technically speaking, he could be also drunk. Then we find out it was King that summoned him, not Kaido. But if they realized that, they would have come. So they got gathered because apparently King wants them to look for Kaido's son, who we find out is called Yamato. And we also find out that Memi aiming to become an all-star or a calamity. We knew that in the last chapter, given what we found out about their feelings towards Queen, and it's the same thing with King. They don't like King very much. Also, I kind of forgot to mention the height of Black Maria is ridiculous. Like she's taller than King, and if you look closer, I don't know if she's taller than Kaido. But look, dude. And the thing I also missed was like she has katanas in her as hairpins, and that's pretty badass. Like I said, I think she has the best design out of the bunch, but I think Ulti's personality is definitely the best. Then we also get introduced to somebody else called Bai Hung, a flying squirrel smile user, and who's also a headliner, by the way. She's the same rank as Hawkins. So, like, announcing the arrival of the Big Mom Pirate ship, so other members of the Big Mom Pirates are also making their way to Onigashima. So again, plenty of opponents for the Strats to fight, and perhaps too many, which is why I also think there's another reason the Straw Hat Grand Fleet may also come in. And also, if there is a Worst Generation gathering, a Rogue also has beef with Big Mom, so I don't see why it'd be a problem for him to not show up. For my idiot son, bring him back, who's disappeared today. So the implication is this: the fact we could assume, number one, he's on Wano, and number two is, more importantly, he's on Onigashima right now, because this is what I first see happening. So also, I like how Ulti kind of like called out Kaido. It's like, that's your family issue, it's not my problem. Got Page One who's just freaking out, like this, whoa. Like, Ulti does not care. Like, she may end up getting killed by Kaido eventually, but I have to give her props. And for this is like Kaido's bargaining with the Toby Robo, so if they can find Yamato, Kaido's son, he will give them a chance to square off against the All-Stars or the Calamities and possibly take their place, because we know that was kind of foreshadowing, teased in the previous chapter. Look at whose face. Like, remember the Toby Robo has the mask on, the most mysterious out of the bunch. He could be the strongest, but look at his expression, like when Kaido says that. Like, yeah, let's do this. Big Mom also still getting a kimono done, so how long does it take for them to actually finish that then? It must be quite the job for them. Where it was falsely foreshadowed that Luffy get himself into trouble. He goes around, he immediately jumps on one of the members of the Beast Pirates' head. It kind of reminds me of Enies Lobby, where he just jumps in, he catches the attention of the Marines, and it's all downhill from there. Because the Fire members are drunk, they don't really recognize Luffy. And then by the end of the chapter, one of them pulls a bowl or a bucket of red bean soup, the same soup that Tama had back in Okabura Town. What bothers him is what represents the fact that Tama was so happy to eat that when she did, and that's what triggers Luffy. Now we know what this means, and the fact that Oda emphasizes the fact that Luffy is pissed off, and when Luffy gets pissed off, he usually punches somebody in the face. My first reaction to this, I kind of hope he doesn't, and he actually activates Conqueror's Haki. But there's a great statement somebody made on online about this, and I agree with this. Like, if he uses Conqueror's Haki, he's going to alert the guards anyway, or the higher ups. So what's he going to do? Is he going to punch the hell out of somebody, which would be kind of epic anyway, because it's Luffy. You know what to expect. Look what he did. Look what he did to Caesar. So I can't wait to see that. We've got a break next week, so we'll have to wait 2 weeks, or possibly 3. We don't know. Point this out: the fact that at least for now, Zoro and Luffy are the only Straw Hats on their own right now. I do want to mention about Yamato. I don't usually do this, but I did some research on this because Oda usually has a funny way of having life imitating art imitating life when it comes to like Kaido's son. And there is a samurai by the name of Yamato. In fact, it goes by the name of Yamato Kansuke, which I want to bring this up. And you guessed it, because he's a samurai, he has a sword. So I'm not saying he's going to be has that appearance. You can go just Google it and you can see the image for yourself. So I don't know if that's going to be his appearance, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Yamato, the son of Kaido, has a katana. And because of this, I see one or two things happening. One, because he needs to be spotted by the Toby Robo, I think it's either going to be Luffy or Zoro that ends up bumping into him first, because when it comes to Luffy, like, he usually bumps into the people that Oda likes to introduce off screen and then have Luffy meet them. Luffy interact with them in some way, shape, or form, being the first one. Like in Amazon Lily, Luffy was the first one to see Boa Hancock's Celestial Dragon slave tattoo when nobody else should have. He's also the first person to see Boa Hancock naked, which I think is taboo back then. Back in Fishman Island, he was the first one. He's the first one to see the mermaid princess Shirahoshi. So Oda has this way of Luffy having interacted with some of these mysterious characters that get introduced, but then have Luffy meet them, or because because a lot of people think Zoro's gonna have a major role in this arc, it could be Zoro that meets Kaido's son. Now, my question is does Kaido's son know the Straw Hats? I'm pretty sure he does, but he may not care. Yeah, I appreciate the cliffhanger for what it was. It may not be the most epic of reveals, but we did get a reveal nonetheless. And Luffy's about to go ham, so what more could you ask for? You got Robin in that sexy new outfit, so this is a thumbs up chapter for me. Again, the Toby Robo do seem like the first perfect candidates to go up against some of the Straw Hats. There are 6, so I don't expect the 10 Straw Hats to go up against the 6 Toby Robo members. So who do you think the 6 Straw Hats are going to be to go up against them? I think Sanji's guaranteed to be one of them, right, because of page 1. But a lot of people hoping that Nami and Robin are going to be the other 2. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Like I said, I thought it was an interesting chapter. Controversial cover page, to say the least. But you guys are talking about something, so leave your thoughts in the comments below. You guys know the drill. Like the thumbs up if you like the review. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks, guys. Bye.